Hi, everyone. We're going to just wait 1 or 2 more minutes and let some more people join the call. In the meantime, if at any time during the presentation you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in either the chat or the questions option, and I will try to get to all of those at the end. And if it's something I don't know the answer to, we will get you an answer from somebody smarter than me on the team. We'll start in just about 1 minute. Okay, welcome again to all of those that are joining us. I'm Shaun, I'm the product marketing manager at Gatling, and today we're really excited to talk to you about data-driven performance with multiple run comparison. This is one of the latest features that we've released just this in the last month, and it's already been really well received by lots of users. And here we're going to give you a little bit of insights into how it works, what it does, and how you can use it to improve your testing and communicate your test results with the rest of the organization. Okay, let's see. All right, so this is just a little quick agenda of what we'll go over today. We'll just talk very generally about investigating performance with Gatling Enterprise at kind of the highest level. Then we'll talk about how you can use multiple run comparison to get an overview of your recent test runs, how you can deep dive into your application performance evolution, and then we'll do a live demo. And then at the end, we'll just talk real briefly about how you can access all the Gatling webinars on demand in case you miss one or you want to go back and look at some of our earlier webinars to learn more about different features or how to do different things with Gatling. Again, at any time, feel free to just drop a question in the chat and I'll get to the questions probably at the end unless I see one and can read at the same time that I'm trying to talk. All right. Okay, so overall, one of the reasons that we built Gatling Enterprise in the first place, and one of the things that we put a lot of time and effort into improving in the last year or so, is the reporting ability and allowing you to analyze your performance tests. So some of the things that you get with Gatling Enterprise that we don't offer in the open source version include real-time reporting, a run summary dashboard, which is what's in the image here on the right-hand side, data filtering options, the ability to look at DNS, the ability to look at various connection metrics, the ability to look at the load generator performance, and then run trends and run comparison. So these two things at the end in orange are features that we had available in the product for quite some time, but they've gotten a major refresh and some huge improvements just in the last few weeks. And that's what we'll talk about for the rest of today. Okay, so why would you even want to compare test runs in the first place? This might seem like a kind of obvious question, but it really depends on your use case and what you're trying to achieve with performance testing. Some of the reasons could include things like demonstrating performance improvements to business leaders. So like we performance test, but why do we do it? We do it to improve the business outcome. And so being able to show that testing and iterating on like code improvements or infrastructure improvements led to a positive result is a huge reason to compare runs over time. It also is a way to stay up to date on like team progress. So maybe you're not the person running the tests, but you want to just be able to check in and see what's happened on the last, 5 or 6 runs of a standard load test that you run nightly or weekly. This is another case where comparing what happened today to last Tuesday might be of particular interest to you. Again, you might want to validate how deployed code changes affected performance. So you deployed something today and you want to compare it to yesterday's test run to see if that deployment had a positive or negative effect on your application performance. And then finally, one that I think pretty much everybody recognizes a big reason for run comparison is to catch regressions before they make it to production. So like being able to run your performance tests and see, oh yeah, we have worse performance on this particular test for this particular request. And that's a problem. We need to make a fix before this gets into production. So those are some of the main compelling reasons that we compare test runs in the first place. Okay. So what we have with our revamped, renewed run trends and run comparison is basically two ways that you can analyze your results. The first one is to be able to get an overview of your recent test runs. This is like a high-level command center to be able to see what's going on. So it gives you a quick interactive overview of your recent test results to be able to look at the response status, response time percentiles, and the throughput for up to the last 10 simulations. So like if you've run 2 tests, it'll just show 2. If you've run 200 tests, it'll show the last 10. And that's just there to give you the quick snapshot about what's been going on in the recent test runs. All right, then the other feature that we've worked on is the run comparison. And this is where if you are the one running the tests or you're the one analyzing the tests, you can get in there, zoom in, look at the details, identify at even the request level, like what's working, what's not working, what's improved, what's regressed, by being able to do things like select specific runs, select specific performance metrics, narrow in on the time window that you're trying to analyze, and a lot more that we'll look at in the live demo. Okay, so now I'm just going to switch over to Gatling Enterprise, and we can look at the actual product, which is, I'm sure, why you are all here. So here I am. I'm logged into my Gatling Enterprise account, and I'm on the simulations page. I'm actually on the second page of 2 in the table. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this stress test here. Now, just as a quick reminder, if I wanted to look at only run number 10, I can click here and this will open up the detailed reports for run number 10. But if I want to look at things in terms of the recent test behavior, I can just click over here on the left-hand side and open stress test. Okay, now stress test is open. And if you have used Gatling Enterprise before, but not looked at this feature, you will notice right away that this is a major difference to the way we used to display test runs in Gatling Enterprise. So what we have here is on the top, try to capture the important information telling you which team ran the test, whether it was a JVM-based or a JavaScript-based test or no code, the package for the test, the simulation name, and the locations that were used in the test. You can hover over the info icon. You can see that specifically for this test, we had Dublin and Paris as the load generator locations with a 70-30 split, 70% in Paris, 30% in Dublin. On the left-hand side, we have the runs table. This has a list of all of the test runs for this particular test. So there's 10 runs starting here in January of 2024 and running to a couple days later in January. So over this time, there were a bunch of changes to the code to look at improving the performance in this example. All right, so here we are on the trends view, which I talked about a little bit earlier. You can see right away that you have the 3 graphs, response status, response time percentiles, and throughput with data plotted in bar chart form for each of the 3 metrics. The first thing I'll point out to you is that on the response status, you can use or sorry, on all three graphs, you can use this show values to toggle between percentages and values. So here we can see the actual values. So a count of like 9,000 total responses, excuse me, 90,000 responses that were okay and 9,000 responses that were errors, KOs. And you can see those go across the top in the absolute values. And again, I can just toggle back to percent if that's what I want to do. If I move down to the response time percentiles, you can see that we're displaying 50, 90, 99, 99.9, 99.99, and then the max response time percentiles. Now, maybe you only have one of these that's important to your organization. You only care about 99%. I can click on 99% and I can just see exactly what the 99% response time percentile is. So you can just come in here and interact with the graphs and get the data that you need. You can also hover over the bars and see each of the values, the response time values on a specific run from this view. And then just moving down to throughput, it works basically the same way as the response status graph. You can hover over, see numbers. You can use the toggle up here again to toggle between percentages and not, excuse me, that doesn't work for throughput. You can decide you only want to look at the KOs, click on that, and that's all it will show. So this is, again, really high level ability to quickly look at how your app performance has changed over the last 10 runs of a given load test simulation. So now, what about the other case that we talked about the ability to go in and kind of dig into more detail on a given test? So to do that, what we have is this button up here on the top right for compare runs. I'm going to click that button and it's going to open up the run comparison page. And you can see right here, it says there's no data to display. All I have to do if I want to compare runs is pick the runs I want to compare from the table on the left-hand side. I can compare up to 5 runs at the same time. So I'm going to start with run number 1 because it's the beginning. And then let's take, let's take runs number 6. Let's see, 7, 8, that's 4. And let's take run number 10. One thing I'll note is you can see the color over here on the table. If you hover over it, it will tell you the meaning of the icon. So in this case, on run number 10, it was that the assertions on the run were successful. And on the other ones, you can see that the assertions failed. So let's look at this and see if we can look in a little more detail about what happened in this particular test. This gives us the concurrent users. You can see that's our run number 10, the good run down here with a low number of concurrent users. And you can see the peaks in concurrent users on the other tests being the worst in tests. I guess it's 1 and 6. And then they're a bit better in the run 7 and what's this guy, the green one, run 8. So, all right, so we can see this. But if we look at this, maybe we want to change the metric. So up here, you can choose from, I believe there's 11 total metrics that we have displayed. Concurrent users and CPU, this is the load generator CPU usage, the errors, and then it's basically the response time percentile options, and then finally throughput. So let's go look at the 99th percentile like we were doing earlier on the trends report. All right, so now we can dig in and see that the 99th percentile looked great in run 10. And obviously it was progressively improving more or less with maybe one regression on run 6 during the sequence of runs. But if I look at this carefully, there's this whole area over here where not much is going on. And then there's kind of important details here. And maybe there's even some important details out here on the right-hand side. So what can I do? With the slider up here, and there's a couple different ways to do this, but one way is I can slide in like this to cut off the first part of the test, which maybe isn't very interesting to us. And that allows me to zoom in and see what was going on in this kind of plateau region on the test. And I could do the same thing if I was more interested in the end of the test by sliding it obviously over to here, and I could zoom in on that. And again, it's completely responsive and interactive, so you can change things however you want. You can move it, you can move the time window around. And I think if we just double click on it like that, it resets it in so we can get back to the normal display. So I'll just go back in like this, so we can see this part. Now, you've identified the area that you're interested in, and now you want to know what are the changes. Two questions. One is like the magnitude, how bad or good were the changes over time? And the second one is, can I get in more detail? Like, what about at the request level? Which requests in my application are the things that I need to go look at to figure out why the code is either not performing, or maybe try to solve what we did that made it work better. Maybe you don't know what somebody else on your team did and why the performance improved, but it's important because you need to propagate it to other parts of your application. Okay, so if I scroll down here, right below the graph, I have the requests on the left-hand side, and I have the response times in the black writing here, and the percentile changes in the colored bubbles on the left-hand side. Now, these are all in reference to run number 1. So right now, we're seeing, like, for example, on this one, which would be kind of like the global, so this is all the responses, we can see basically a progressive improvement in the response time across the series of tests. And if I go down and I look at a detail, I might see, like, for example, that on this US browse search request, we had like an 11% improvement when we went to test number 6, and then a 46% improvement, a 64% improvement, and then finally 97.5% improvement over the original test by the time we got to test number 10. But that's great, and like that makes sense for probably my example, my demonstration of this use case. But maybe test number 1 shouldn't be the baseline, the marker test that you want to compare everything to. Maybe it should be test number 10 because that was the best test in terms of performance. So we have these little icons up here, and you can pick them and on for one test, and it will set that test run as the baseline. So if I click on this one, it moves test number 10 to the left, and now I have everything relative to test number 10, or run number 10, sorry, instead of relative to run number 1. Again, the great thing is, like, you just don't, maybe you clicked on it by mistake. It's not what you want. You want to go back to 1 being the reference. You can click on 1 and you go back to 1 being the reference. Maybe you realized that test number 6 is an anomaly and it got fixed, and so you don't want to look at it anymore. You can just remove test number 6 from the comparison. So this gives us like a lot of flexibility to, in a very like interactive way, get into exactly what it is that we need to investigate, and then push that to, maybe it's your job and you need to go look at the code, or maybe you need to push the test to results to one of your colleagues and have them do it. So this is designed to be both interactive and collaborative, so that you can look at things in detail at any time. I think that is a pretty good overview of the feature. I'll just go through really quickly and just change this just for completeness and show you, again, you can just change the metric. Again, on here, you can also remove a test, or sorry, highlight just one by clicking on it. This allows you to just kind of quickly look for changes. And finally, the last one I'll mention is, it's probably not something that everybody needs, but if you happen to be working on a small laptop screen, you can also click and slide that guy out of the way to have a better amount of kind of horizontal space on your screen to look at your test results. Okay, I can see we have one question. Okay, why is it showing a negative sign? I assume you mean like the negative sign if I go, let's see here. Let me go back out and expand this. And then go back to like here. Let's see here. I assume you're talking about where I could see a negative sign like here. In green, that's basically showing the amount of change. And the reason it's negative is it's basically like, okay, you had your request took 1,000 milliseconds and now it took 100 milliseconds. That's a 90% improvement. That's the color green, but it's a reduction of 90%, which is why we're showing that in green. Um, so that's an overview of run comparison, multi-run comparison in Gatling Enterprise. And if you have any questions or comments about the feature, I'd love to hear what you think. Is there something else that I can show you that I maybe didn't cover, a specific use case? And I'll leave it open for questions for a few minutes. And if there aren't any questions, we'll end a little bit early today. I'm not sure. Actually, the question is there some rate of input parameter for each run? Do you mean the like the arrival rate of virtual users in the test? Yeah, that's there. In this particular case, um, that they're identical for all of the runs, and that's specified in the simulation itself. So, if you're familiar at all with how Gatling like works in a test as code sense, you can basically tell it how many users to add and on what intervals. So you could say like, for example, at once add 1,000 users and it will add 1,000 users at once. Or you could say add 10 users every second for the next minute and it will add 10 users every second for the next minute. So that's basically setting or shaping the load injection profile. And if you haven't done this before, we have some no code demonstration webinars that are up on the website. And also, if you work in Gatling Enterprise no code, you can use that to sort of get a feel for how to shape the user arrival rate. Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We have the chat bot on the website, or to send us something in the Gatling community forum, and we can definitely help explain it better. Is there a way to download like a PDF for automatic reporting? Okay, so right now we have the ability to do PDFs. I'll just show you this actually. So if I was here and I wanted to go look at it, the details of a specific run, I can end run comparison and I can go into a given test like this. And in here, we have a create custom report button, and you can come in here and create a detailed report for this run, preview and print to PDF as an example. We also have, I can't show this to you in this demo app, but we do have the ability to also share a public link to the report that anybody can use to access the report. What we don't have right now is we don't have like an export feature for a run comparison. If that's something that you're interested in, I definitely would be interested to connect and talk to you about it in a little more detail. If not me, I'm certain somebody else on our product team would be interested in the use case and how you would use it. But that's not something that we have available today. Anybody else with any questions? Yeah, I can just mention real quickly, like this is definitely a feature that our team really enjoyed working on, and that I think we'll probably look for ways to add some more capabilities in the future. So if you use it and you have an idea about something that you want or need that we haven't addressed, definitely you can always go to our public roadmap, which is on the website gatling.io/roadmap to add a comment or a feature suggestion. You can also reach out to us in any way that you find. Like on the website, we have a contact form, and we're always really excited to talk to users, prospective users, anybody who is interested in load testing is somebody we want to talk to. Finally, I'll just return really quickly to the presentation slides and just make one last quick pitch for you, which is that this is part of a series of webinars. We are doing product webinars each month, covering mostly Gatling Enterprise features with live demos. Our developer advocate, Samir, is running testing sessions every month with kind of deep details of using different Gatling features to test and cover performance challenges. Like I think maybe there's one tomorrow on gRPC. Some recent topics have included things like Postman integration, no-code simulation export, and advanced settings for no code. And the link in the bottom corner here where you can go to the website /videos-webinars, and there will be recordings of all the previous ones there. If there's something that you don't find, again, don't hesitate to reach out and we'll try to find something to help you out. All right, I'll just make one last plea for any questions or comments. And if there aren't any, we can stop in the next minute or so. Last call. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us. It's always a blast to show off the work that our team has been doing, and we're really excited for you to give the feature a try. Yeah, if you try it out, send me a message. You can email me, Shaun@gatling.io, SHAUN, or yeah, something on our community forum is also a great way to get my attention. I read every message on there. So if that's a better flavor for you, I will see it. And happy testing. Thanks, everyone.